happy Monday. We last week just finished up our parent-teacher conferences. I was actually down and out with the flu for the first few days of the week, and then I was able to make it back for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Thursday and Friday were our two biggest days for parent-teacher conferences. We do 2 half days, and then parents schedule 15-minute conferences back to back to back. So it was a busy Thursday and Friday, but it was a great time to meet with everybody and just give them some insight on how their child is doing as they get ready for second grade. So that was wonderful. I am back this week and excited. I think I'm going to take you along for a few days and just share kind of what we are up to in reading, writing, and math. So I'm going to make some copies, get some things ready for the week, and I will pop in and let you know what we're doing. All right, so when it comes to phonics, we are we're starting week 2 of our Unit 9 in Foundations, which is all about closed syllables. So here we are teaching students, a lot of them at first are going to be CVC words, and then we're teaching them that these words can also end in consonant blends, they can end in digraphs. A lot of our glued sounds are going to be closed syllables. So really just getting students introduced to that syllable type. So let me pull up the slides for week 2 and I can show you what we are doing today. First we have our review. So these are all our glued sounds, digraphs, and letters. Then we go to our R-controlled vowels. And then these are the vowel teams that we are also slowly introducing throughout the week. So Foundations, they expect you to be able to read words with the sounds, but not spell them at this point. We definitely do practice a little bit of both though. And then we are talking about what a closed syllable is. How do we know? We review it and we actually mark it up. Then we can also add the suffix S to our closed syllables as well. So we typically do this with whatever skill we're learning because suffix S was in Unit 6. So going forward from there, we can also teach that and then we show them how to do whatever new skill it is plus suffix S. Then we are blending some together. Swim, shrub, snip, stop, plug, and spell. And after each one we talk about is it a closed syllable or not and how do we know? And we talk about how a closed syllable has one short vowel sound and it is closed in by at least one consonant. And then we talk about what closed and open syllables look like, so reviewing them versus a closed like not. If the T is not there, it's no. Hit to high, wet to wee, bet to be, shell to she, and men to me. So we do that little review as well. And then I had them take out their magnet boards and we did a bunch of word chains today with some closed syllable words. And then this is something I have in the SJT Literacy Club. I have a whole packet on syllables and some different activities. And since we talked about open syllables, all of these right here you'll see are open syllables plus a closed syllable. So we talked about what that kind of looks like and then how we add it. So music, robot. We talk about the soft C. There's a couple different ones. Pilot. This is the, our schwa is going to be here instead of pilot. And what that sounds like, pilot. And I had students just kind of blend them. I can put a picture here of one of my students doing that this morning. Basically, that's what we're going to be doing all week long, just really reviewing what a closed syllable is. I definitely am introducing them to some 2-syllable words, but we do have a unit coming up on that later. Again, this is just kind of the intro to what a closed syllable is, so they can get used to that, and then also how it differs from an open syllable. A lot of what we're doing is reading those words, writing those words. We do teach students how to mark up the syllables so they are used to seeing it. And then in their win activity, let me just flip it around. It is a complete the syllable that I do with 2-syllable words that are both closed syllables. So let me show you. For independent work this week, this is their packet. We have 3 pages like we usually do. We usually do 3 or 4, but this first one is the syllable one. So they will go ahead and cut out the bottom. This is from that same packet I just mentioned with the open and closed syllable that we just read, the blending one. So this is from that same place in the SJT Literacy Club. So they have all these closed syllables down here. They say there's some at the beginning, some at the end. These are double closed, so they have to go ahead and put 10. Tentist, napten, ten-tub, sub-ten, ten-tract, rab-ten, mit-ten, ten-vent, mitten. So they have to kind of put it in each one and they have to go ahead and figure out which one goes where. This is very tricky for them at first, but once they get used to it, it's a great practice activity. And then I have a couple of these for closed syllables, and then I have some open and closed. I have them for all the syllable types. So as students continue to learn these and figure out how this is done, it becomes really good practice for them. And then just to show you the rest of what's in WIN, we have my phonics find its. These ones are for vowel teams AI and AY. I actually need to get them up here on my sound wall because we have taught some of those. The vowel teams here are going to be the last things we teach for the year that will be added to our sound wall. It always amazes me because it's so blank for so long, and then boom, they end up learning a ton. So here we have AI and AI words that they will read, find them, and then they have to pick one and do a sentence, write a sentence with it. And then for math, if I can flip this, here we go. For math, this is just a quick little review here, add or subtract. So they have to go ahead and put in the plus sign or the minus sign to see which one completes the equation to make it true. The actual unit that we are doing for math this week is actually measurement. We just finished up our huge double-digit addition and subtraction unit, both with regrouping and without regrouping within 50. So that is a big one for students. And now we kind of take a little break and we are just teaching measurement. So since measurement's pretty simple for them, in my WIN stations, I really want them still working on addition and subtraction. That one sheet I just showed you is the doing addition or subtraction within 20, facts within 20. And then for the other WIN station for the actual math one, I'll show this to you tomorrow, but it is a math mystery, one of my fun math mysteries that students are going to work in a group and see if they can solve the mystery on their own. So, or with their group. And that one is going to review double-digit addition without regrouping. So I'll show you that tomorrow along with all the other fun math stuff that we have going on. So I'll pop in a bit. Good morning, happy Tuesday. Today I wanted to share a little bit about what we are doing in math this week. I know yesterday I talked about closed syllables, and that is what we are up to in phonics. So I wanted to just share what we are doing in math. Now, I think I mentioned yesterday that the main unit we are doing is measurement, which is a pretty simple unit, honestly, for students. The main things we are really trying to teach students are that when we are measuring something with non-standard items, they need to be all the same size. We need to have a same starting point when we're measuring them, and that they can't overlap, they can't have gaps, things like that. So we need to measure accurately, and then also we need to be able to compare and order lengths from shortest to longest or shortest to tallest. So again, a pretty quick unit, and students really understand this from kindergarten. So it is pretty simple. Let me show you what some of the activities we have been doing have been. They are fun. I'll show you some of the math warm-ups we're doing, some of the slides, and we'll go from there. I have a whole set of these math warm-ups here, and these ones are all for measurement. So there's a few different questions they ask. Here I'm having students put these in order from shortest to longest. So we talk about first how they're all at the same starting point so we can accurately measure them. And then we can see that this one's the shortest, the scissors, then to the stapler, then to the paintbrush. So we have students kind of talk through that. And then the other slide we have is the what's wrong slides. I have a bunch of these where students have to explain what's wrong. Sometimes they will just have measured inaccurately. So like, let's say these were laid out correctly and the number was wrong here. I have one that has cubes and like it starts here. It doesn't start at the beginning. Instead it starts here and then goes to the end. Some other ones will have gaps in between them, and this one, from what you can see, all the paper clips are overlapping on top of each other. So that does not count. So with these slides, my goal is really just to make sure that students understand how to measure accurately. Right after the math talks, I basically hopped onto the rug and I grabbed one of these journals and I threw it down on the floor and I grabbed some cubes and I grabbed some paper clips. And then I just kind of reviewed how we measure accurately. So let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so what I did is once I had everybody on the rug, I just had a bunch of cubes here and I kind of haphazardly laid them out in a semi line here. I had two together and I was just like, okay, looking at this book, I can say this book is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cubes long. Is that correct or incorrect? And they're like, no, Miss Jones, that's not right. And then they explained why. We explained that they all need to be stacked on top of each other. There shouldn't be these spaces. And then I had students come up and actually measure it with cubes to determine how long the book actually is. And we compared that to what I had here. Then I took the cubes away. I said, okay, let's use a different tool. We have some paper clips. And here, again, we talked about the starting point because we went over that yesterday. I had all of these paper clips. I first used all the ones that are the same size, like this. And I forget how I messed it up, but I think I also left some gaps, or maybe I just stopped here and I was like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 6 paper clips long. They were like, no, and they showed me how we can line it up. And then I said, well, what if I did this? And I have these kind of jumbo ones here. I'm not going to unhook them, but they were unhooked. And I'm like, okay, well, what about now? And I measured them all the way across. And I said, this book is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 paper clips long. And this one was a little trickier for students, but we explained that when we are measuring, I need to know what type of paper clip. So it doesn't matter that they're different colors here, but it does matter that they're different sizes. So we had to unhook these and we had to all use the same size. So I might say, you know, the book is 13 small paper clips long, or this book is 7 big paper clips long. So we talked about how whatever we're using to measure, we need to use the same unit to measure the whole way across. Then just to practice this a little bit further, I had everybody go to their seats and they took out their math books that are in their desk, their big koala math workbook, and I gave everybody a bunch of cubes. And then I asked them, I also gave them a little Post-it. So I will take some pictures and drop them here, but basically I had them measure how tall or how long their math workbook is, and they wrote it down on a Post-it. And then I had them measure with cubes how long their pencil is, how long their scissors, and how long their supply kit is. So we measured 4 different items and we just wrote it down. And of course I walked around, I made sure we had the same starting points, there were no gaps, there was no overlap. Students did great with that. And then afterwards we got their Post-its and I said, okay, looking at the Post-it, let's circle which tool was the longest. So that was the math book. Let's put a triangle around which tool was the shortest. That was the scissors. And then we talked about the ones in the middle and we put them in order from shortest to longest. So just a simple little activity that you can do with your students. Like I said, this is a very quick unit, and I like it because students just get it. They feel successful with it, so it makes it nice and fun. All right, some of the other fun measurement type activities that we have been doing. Last week we did Measure Me, which looks like this right here. Here's some pictures of my kids playing it. Basically, they go ahead and estimate how many cubes long different body parts of their partner will be, and then they go ahead and measure it. This is always a fun one, and it keeps students very engaged. This one is from my hands-on measurement unit. It looks like this right here. There's some other fun ones in there that I don't know if we'll have time to do because this is such a short unit, but we have other games in there like Crooked Paths. Crooked Paths is a fun one. This is what it looks like. This allows everybody to see that you basically make 2 paths, an A and a B, and one kind of is more crooked than the other. It'll have more like lines up and down and it looks shorter. But then when you straighten it out, you can see that it's actually a longer path. So I like that lesson. In there we also have car races. So basically students will build a little ramp and they will race a car down it, and then they have to measure the distance. So just an easy but like fun hands-on measurement. They have to measure the distance from the end of the ramp to where the car went. And then also Animal Paths is in there too. Animal Paths is an old like investigations unit that I had done forever ago. And you just put down masking tape on the floor with a little picture of different animals, and students have to go around and measure with their feet how many feet long each of the animals jumps. So just another fun little activity there. And then actually later in this week, we are going to do a measurement game for my print and play measurement pack. It looks like this right here. And students will basically just get some dice. They will roll some school supplies that they need to measure. So it might have like 3 crayons, and then they're going to use cubes to measure them all. So again, practicing. And then at the end, every time we measure something, we always compare and order the lengths of what we measured. So that'll be a fun little unit. I also wanted to share with you, so that's our measurement. We're actually assessing on Friday. So Thursday we'll do just a little review day with some activities. I do have some measurement task cards I think I'm gonna pull out. that, this is what my measurement task cards look like. Just quick review, ordering, measuring, comparing lengths. So that should be easy. And then, the other thing I was going to say, so since we're finishing this unit up, I think I mentioned yesterday that during our win stations, I really am still focusing on addition and subtraction. That's really going to hammer home until the end of the year, because that's the big bulk of what I need them to learn in first grade. So we are doing our fun math mystery. Let me show you that. I put them in folders. Sometimes I store them in file folders. Sometimes I go ahead and put them in just regular folders. I prepped these last week. Let me take it to the back table. This is our summer picnic problems. And I explained it to the whole class so they could see. 2 of them are already complete with their group. So this one is incomplete. All I did, let me tell you how it works. So what I did is I explained to students that there is a big mystery. And the mystery is that all these friends went to the beach over the summer. And they brought their picnic baskets, and what happened is when they went into the water, a big wave came up and it crashed and it scrambled up all of their picnic baskets. So we have to figure out which picnic basket belongs to each kid. And to do that, we have some clues. So I'll show you what these look like, and then I'll go grab some of the clues that are finished so you can see what they kind of hint at. Here we have the one from the group that finished today. They forgot to write some of them down, but they did end up finishing. And here are the clues and what they look like. Ugh. So as you can see, these are all going to be addition and subtraction without regrouping. So no regrouping here. It's a big review. And so about 4 to 5 students are in each group, so they can divvy them out however they need. Some students only finish 1 clue, some help and they really finish 3 or 4. But everybody has to do at least 1 clue, and there are going to be 8 total. So what it looks like is this. 34 minus 20 is 14, so they can solve it. I also have over there, that big blue bucket is a bunch of place value cubes, base 10 blocks if they need them. So 14, and then they go down here, and 14, instead of writing 14, they're going to write N. And then I-N. So this one you can see spells out 94. So Grayson's basket, and they have these little guys here, is 94. So they'll find Grayson, he matches up here, and they can just pair it up next to him. And then when they go to the sheet next to Grayson, they write 94. This is like their answer key. Now, so some of them just tell you right away. This one, Aria's basket, when solved, is 20 plus 2. What's 20 plus 2? 22. Let's see. Mateo's basket, 40 plus 40 is 80. Liam's was 39. Amelia's basket is 10 plus 5, so 15. We have Aiden's basket is 61. And Sophia's is 50 plus 8, 58. And Mia's is 20 plus 7. So this whole group worked all together. They were able to solve all the clues, and they solved the mystery. When they're done, I just had them put them in here so I could check it in. So they kind of put all their clues, and they put this answer key. Like I said, they forgot to fill out the rest of the answer key, but I do have all their clues here. So I will check it for them and see if they cracked the case. And then basically each year you can you could totally laminate the clues too, but it's just, 8 pieces of paper. So, and they work in a group anyway, and I like to have students write on them and take them home. So I'm actually just going to print out a new set. So just the 9 pages, and I'll fill this in, and then I already have the cards ready. So when these are done and I pass them home, I'll go ahead and store them up there in the double-digit addition and subtraction group or bucket. So that is always just a fun and engaging activity for them. Students love this when I introduced it to them. I did introduce one of them earlier in the year. I have them for addition and subtraction within 20 as well, but I just did it with a small group, kind of as like an extension activity. So this is the first one I did explain to my whole class. Which is a bummer. I kind of wish I had done more. There's place value one I might do, because we're going to go into our unit for place value within 120. And so for that one, they're just identifying the place value blocks. So there's place value. I have one for telling time. Like I said, addition and subtraction within 20. I do have some basic number sense too with numbers within 20. So I do have a bunch of them. I want to try to introduce more next year a little bit earlier on. So that is what we are up to in math. We're finishing up measurement before we dive into number sense. Tomorrow I will take you along and just kind of share what poetry things we are doing in class. I have my poetry slides that I shared last year, or at least I shared about them. They're in the writing club. So we're doing some poetry. We're kind of mixing in between the HMH poetry unit and what we already have. So our goal is to write 3 different poems and kind of call it a day with that, because then we're going into opinion writing next week. So I'll share more about that tomorrow. Hello, hello, happy Wednesday. It's actually already the end of the day. I came in this morning ready to film and kind of catch up, but then I got chatting away, and then it was school and the kids were here, and now fast forward, it's already the end of the day. So I did want to share with you, today we actually did some review math centers. I'm not going to be here in the morning because for math, I have my son's doctor's appointment. So I didn't want to do the stations then. I wanted to kind of check in. I had mentioned this before, but when I do math for each unit, I like to have at least one kind of review day, and it's a stations day. So students will often rotate through centers, and one of the centers is always to check in with me. So I get to actually have hands-on and actually see every single group with every single skill, which is great. So I did that today because I didn't want to do that for the sub tomorrow. So today, one of the things we did were my measurement task cards. So I wanted to show you those. And then I just wanted to share a little bit about the poetry that we are doing in writing and kind of walk through a little bit of those slides. So that is on the agenda. Let me grab my task cards and I will show you which ones we're using. All right, so for these task cards, there are 5 different ones. Let me just quickly show you what they are. I had my students come back to me, and usually we work out of our koala book, which is our math workbook, but instead I just had students do this, and I kind of worked with them to see how they were doing. This one was very simple for them. This is just called compare in order. And all I needed students to do here was to look at the pictures, and they had to put them in order from shortest to longest. So they would write 1 here, 2, and 3, shortest to longest. And some of them are tallest. Let me see if I can find with flowers. So 1, 2, 3. So they just had to go ahead and compare those. This one here is called measure and count. I'll insert some pictures, boop, boop, of students doing this one. This one we used some Unifix cubes, and students had to measure the item. I did a little line here for them to actually see how I want them to measure it, and then they had to write down how many cubes long or how many cubes tall each item was. This one here was called find and compare. Again, I'll insert some pictures, boop, boop. But basically all you need for this one are some cubes, paper clips, and some little math bears. I have some math bears, but if you don't, you could easily use something else. But basically, here's an example with the math bear. You had to look at the card, and students had to put these together. So 12 cubes, so they would stack up 12 cubes, and then they would go ahead and stack up, or not stack up, but make like a nice straight line of 10 bears. And here would they want to know which one is longer. So students would circle which one is longer. Here, 2 paper clips or 5 cubes, which one's longer? Sometimes, here we go, some of them say shorter. So here, 3 cubes or 4 paper clips. Again, they would kind of line them up, compare them, and circle which one is longer or shorter based on what the question asked. And then the last 2 are measure and record and measure and circle. So we are still doing non-standard measurement in 1st grade, and this is not a real ruler, but I do like introducing students to what a ruler kind of looks like. So here, there's a bunch of dinosaurs or dinosaur eggs or dinosaur related items. And we talked about how it starts at the beginning of the ruler, and we have to see, looking at the end point, approximately how long it is. And so I showed them a real ruler, what it looks like. So I explained that this is not an actual ruler and this is not a real inch, but for the purpose of looking at it, I wanted them to see how we can kind of measure on a ruler of some sort. So they went ahead and did that. They would draw the line, see that this T-Rex is about 9 inches long, and they would circle the correct length. And then, so this is the only one that has any type of like standard measurement. All the rest you can see are cubes or comparing. And then this one has things around the room. So let me find, there's some at the end here. If I can find the little recording part. Here we go. So there's a little grid here, and I kind of paired students up to go do these. And then each of these has a number. So this is number 1. use cubes to measure your shoe. So they're going to use cubes for everything here. So they would measure their shoe, and then right next to number 1, they would write how many cubes it was. Use cubes to measure a crayon. Next to number 5, after they figure out how long it is, use cubes to measure your pair of scissors. Then they'd write the answer next to number 3. So this one is a nice kind of hands-on fun one, clipboard, your pencil box. This one is a popsicle stick. Most things that you have around the classroom and that students can go ahead and get, and they just record their answers here. We are very quickly finishing up this measurement unit, but I did just want to show you those because they are quite a bit of fun. I'll go ahead and link them down in the description below, the measurement ones, but I'll also link the whole bundle. I have a whole first grade bundle of task cards that are similar to that. Some they're kind of drawing on, some are hands-on, just different ways to practice the different skills we teach in first grade. So the last thing I wanted to share this week is writing. And in writing, we are kind of doing this fun little funky unit on poetry. It's not Poetry Month, but it is the week before Poetry Month, so that works out just fine. And what we are going to do is we used a little bit of the lessons from HMH. This unit was not my favorite from HMH. I just didn't feel like it gave too much, so we're really using a lot of my poetry slides, or at least I am, to introduce like sensory poems and how we can integrate our senses into our poems. I am keeping the theme of nature because in reading for HMH, the unit we're doing is also like how things change in nature. So we're reading a lot about that. I want to keep the writing with that. So all of our poetry, instead of picking whatever they want, they can pick a topic, but it has to be found in nature. So let me show you these slides that I shared these last year, I think. Last year, they are in the SJT Writing Club already, but I think some of you know I have been taking the writing lessons that I have in the slides. I've been kind of packaging them and putting them on TPT. I have them for beginning of the year lessons, for narratives, and for opinion. So I will make sure by the time this video is up on Sunday, I'll make sure that these ones are also, like the slides are also available on TPT. I'll put the whole package together for you. So let me open those up so you can see what it looks like. All right, here we have We Can Write Poetry. So lesson 1 is all about writing sensory poems. These are the first poems my students are going to write. So it says, we know that poems have the following characteristics. Some poems are long, some are short, some rhyme, some don't. Poems tell a story. Some poems have rules, some don't, and that poems are creative ways to share our thoughts. And then it says, today we will learn about sensory poems. So I kind of review what each of the 5 senses are, and I think aloud as I model using sensory details to describe ice cream. So I might say, I see ice cream dripping down the cone. I smell strawberry flavored ice cream. My hand feels cold as I grab the cone. Anything you want to say, just kind of talk it out loud, and then I write it here. Then I do this again, but this time I'm asking for student input. So here I ask for students, now that they saw me model it with ice cream, I want them to help me model this with popcorn. So what do they hear when they're making popcorn? What might they see? What might they smell? What might they taste? Or what might they touch? And what might they taste? And then they will go back and they will do this on their own for just about 5 minutes because we just did it together. So sometimes I'll combine these two and I'll just give students this sheet and we kind of do it together while we talk about it. And then I show students how I take that planning sheet that we did for 5 minutes and I turn it into a poem. So I hear the pop, pop, pop from the kitchen. I see the yellow butter on the kernels. And I write down each sentence with each of the 5 starting points here. I hear, I see, I smell, I can feel, and I taste. And then I draw a quick picture to match. This is just a sketch, of course, and then students go off and they go do it themselves. So based on their own planning sheet, they will go ahead and turn it into a sensory poem. Now for this one, we of course did popcorn because I did it together with them. You can go ahead and choose whatever your own topic is. And so as I mentioned earlier, we're doing all about nature. So I basically took these slides and I turned them into, I did an example with rain. So then they're going to pick their own topic from nature that we already brainstormed, and they're going to make a sensory poem. Some of the other ones, then of course we always have a sharing slide at the end. We have feelings poems. We talk about different feelings. Brainstorm, sometimes we feel happy, and then we can pick an emotion and they will write a feelings poem. We always walk through the same steps. We do it together, we plan it, and then they write it. We do shape poems, and I show some fun examples of shape poems. These are ones my students have actually written themselves in the past, which are so fun. We brainstorm shape poems, and then we have acrostic poems. Again, some student examples here. Make our own acrostic poem. Color poems, which are fun. I always show examples. Same steps every time. Introduce what it is. We plan it out together, and then they go ahead and take that plan and turn it into a poem. Cinquain poems. And what else? And then we go ahead and publish our poetry book. So I think this only has 8 lessons, maybe 7 lessons. So here at the end, they make a little poetry book. So this one's not a full 10 pages, but we kind of walk through it all, and then students will have all of those poems. The other thing is, I hope you can see here that we do have our publishing list, just like we always do. In each lesson, I am having my students plan and write in the same lesson. You can, of course, if this takes too long, you can go ahead and separate that. So they plan one day and then write the next day. And then basically these 7 lessons turns into a full 2 weeks of lessons, if that makes sense, because each one is going to take 2 days. That's basically how we did it last year. I spread it out over 2 weeks. I think we had 2 weeks before our April vacation. So it worked out perfectly that in April we were focusing on poetry, planning one day, writing the next day. Planning a poem, writing it, and then kind of getting introduced to the different types of poetry. And at the end, they got to take home their own little poetry book, which was so cute. I have our sensory poem template ready for tomorrow because students are going to do that in the morning. And yeah, that is kind of what we are up to. I believe I had said in my video the last time, because I know I got sick, that I was going to make a video sharing how to teach double-digit addition and subtraction. I still want to do that. So maybe next week that will be that video where I kind of walk through the lessons that I taught for double-digit addition and subtraction, both without regrouping and with regrouping. So that is still in my plans. Just because I got sick last week and I wasn't able to make a video, I wanted to do a pop-in video first. So I think next time I see you, that will be my video. I would love to know from you, do you like those in-depth videos? Do you like them kind of mixed in with just pop-ins where I'm sharing different aspects of what I'm teaching throughout the week? Or do you like more focused videos or a mix of both? Any feedback is greatly appreciated. Lets me know kind of what types of videos I should make for you. But let me know down in the comments. I'm going to make sure all my sub plans are ready just for the morning tomorrow and lay everything out. And then I have Pilates in about 20 minutes, so I'll be on my way. As always, I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up so I know. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel and click that bell. That way you're notified of every new video. See you in the next one. Bye.